take it. And the cup is more than half full now. If you love him, you live it right. So give her your love and the cup will full. Your sky could never gray. Doubt can wipe a smile away. Sun, it shines up above. From out the darkness comes your love. Into the world it brings some light.
We live in a world right now where people can't afford to be healthy. That is so staggering to me. You walk into Whole Foods, you walk into Vaughn's, and there's the glass case with that beautiful rosemary garlic rotisserie chicken for $2.29. And then right next to it is the glass case of the garlic rosemary rotisserie chicken that's free range and organic, and it's $7.50. The great white elephant is that people don't realize what's going on in the food supply. If you go to a supermarket or if you go to a restaurant, over 90% of the food you consume, you ingest, is being manufactured in a way that if you knew, you literally would be taking it to the streets.
I am a breast cancer survivor, a blood cancer survivor.
I'm Dr. Holly Lucille, a naturopathic doctor.
I am a mom of a teenager, a basset hound owner, a military wife.
My name is Dr. Deanna Atai, and I'm a breast surgeon.
I am a cancer survivor who is looking for answers just like you.
I'm Deborah Tripathi. I'm a medical oncologist.
What works, what doesn't? Welcome to Thrive with Namrata. Billy Baldwin, talking about meat, animal products, and cancer. So what really is the meat in this subject? What really is the bottom line? Holly?
Well, I think when you look at cancer and you look at contributing factors that perhaps maybe caused the cells to start mutating and then combining into a tumor, excessive saturated fat, which certainly in animal products you find, is one of them. And so when it comes to meat and animal products, what I tend to do is, once again, because also if they're not clean, as we talked about before, if you don't understand the source, when you eat a lot of it, because if you look at a diet for 2,000 calories, about 65 grams of saturated fat. If you eat a 10-ounce T-bone, you've blown over that, right? So I think it's the excessive amount and also the quality, because it can add excess hormones, bioaccumulation of toxins when you're eating that much. And so that's the big thing. I don't think that there's a clear answer of don't eat meat or eat meat, but what you choose to eat, because it's a great source of protein, which is needed during chemotherapy treatments and certainly to support the immune system, make sure the quality is there.
Here's the question on the flip side, though. Somebody wrote to us from India, actually, and asked us this question. And there's two that I want to cover with you. But the first one is, if you actually start depleting hormones in a person's body, whether that's testosterone or whether that's estrogen or progesterone, whatever that is, can you get to a point where you are depleting too much? Because certainly there's side effects to not having enough hormones, too. So what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are that our bodies make our own hormones. We shouldn't rely on our foods to get our hormones, whether it's estrogen, progesterone, chemicals that have those effects, or testosterone. So I don't think that by going to cleaner sources of meat and reducing your hormone intake, you're going to have a significant effect on your own body's natural hormones. What we're trying to avoid is introduction of hormones that are foreign to us. We don't need the hormones that come from cows or from chickens or things like that. Those were from what they were fed. We want to supplement or enhance our own body's natural hormonal processes. So I think the connection of saturated fats and highly processed meats is with cancer and other diseases is a big one. But I think another point I'd like to make is that if you have a diet that's high in saturated fats, you're also more likely to be overweight or in fact obese. And there's no question that there are links between obesity, insulin resistance, chronic inflammation, and that ties into cancer as well as other diseases as well. So that's another reason, I think, to cut back on your saturated fat and processed meat intake.
Deborah, in your clinical practice, when you've looked at patients and ones that have either changed their type of meat that they eat or have cut out red meat, which is another popular one, or have turned largely vegetarian or vegan. Have you found in your clinical practice that there were better outcomes for people who turned vegan or vegetarian versus those who still ate meat but maybe just ate fish or cut out red meat and just ate chicken? Anything that you found that was significant in terms of actual survival outcomes for your patients by modifying how they were eating before versus after a diagnosis of cancer?
I can't say that my observations have statistical strength to be the truth, but I have had patients who have lost a lot of weight on very restrictive diets who appear to have their cancer slow down. But I don't think that's enough for me to advocate that for everybody. The connection of meat with cancer is one that does have a scientific and biological rationale. For example, nitrosamines, which are produced when you char meat, as well as nitrites, which often are used as preservative in meats, do cause cancer in the laboratory. But the big question we should all be asking is, how does it affect me as an individual? We have to think of much of what we do as statistical and probabilities. If you lower your cholesterol, your chance of dying of heart disease may go down. So you have to think of it in a statistical or probabilistic way. And so if you ask the question, how much does avoiding meat 100% lower your risk of dying of heart disease or cancer or improve your odds of responding to whatever cancer treatment you're receiving, we don't have a firm number for that. So it makes sense, as with many other things, to be moderate about what you do. I don't think you should forbid yourself from eating every ounce of meat, but I do think you should exercise moderation. In fact, the American Dietetic Association is recommending 4 to 6 ounces of meat if you do eat meat, which is a much smaller portion that is typically used today.
Well, I'll tell you what, my steak is a lot bigger than the 4-ounce steak. So what I'm taking away from this is eat in moderation, and the whole question that I had about hormones, it sounds like it's not that you're trying to deplete the hormones in your body, so you don't want those hormones to come in, but it's more that you're trying to stay away from the foreign hormones. So that actually really answered that one for me. Thank you so much. In other words, go out, get a steak. We'll talk about wine later, but in the meantime, stay moderate, stay small, and just enjoy yourself.